A stone door sealed for thousands of years guards more than just a king's treasure. This journey through 21 monumental tombs reveals secrets that can rewrite history itself. You will uncover lost technologies and entire cultures hidden within these ancient structures. Why does a Chinese emperor sleep within a miniature universe of poisonous mercury? What cosmic message is encoded in a tomb older than the pyramids that captures the winter sun? The true value of these places lies not in gold, but in the profound knowledge they protect. What do you believe is the most important lesson the ancient world left for us? In a field in central China, a farmer's shovel struck something hard. It was not a rock, but the sculpted head of a clay soldier, staring blankly up from the earth. That chance moment in 1974 cracked open the door to one of history's most astonishing secrets, the sprawling mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China. His tomb complex is not merely a burial chamber, it is a subterranean kingdom. While the now famous Terracotta army, thousands of unique soldiers and horses, stands guard in surrounding pits, the emperor's own burial mound remains a sealed and silent mystery. Ancient texts describe his tomb as a miniature universe, complete with palaces, priceless treasures, and rivers of shimmering, toxic mercury flowing through a model of his empire. The very air inside is thought to be poisonous, a permanent defense for the emperor's eternal rest. This is not mere legend. Scientific surveys have detected unusually high concentrations of mercury in the soil around the mound, confirming the ancient accounts. The historical records speak of even more fearsome protections, elaborate mechanical crossbows rigged to fire automatically at any intruder. The engineering prowess required for such a system hints at a level of technological sophistication we are only beginning to appreciate. And then there are the warriors themselves, each one a masterpiece of individual artistry with distinct facial features, hairstyles, and armor. The creation of this 8,000-strong army was a logistical miracle, a project that demanded the organized labor of hundreds of thousands of artisans and laborers for decades. It was a statement of absolute power, a declaration that the emperor's authority would extend even into the afterlife. The silent, unopened mound poses a tantalizing question for modern archaeologists. What unimaginable wonders, what lost knowledge of the Qin dynasty remains locked inside, protected by poison and ancient machinery? The tomb of the first emperor proves that the most profound secrets are sometimes best left buried, guarded not just by earth and stone, but by our own healthy fear. But the emperor's grand vision for eternity cast a long and brutal shadow. Scattered around his main burial mound, archaeologists have uncovered a series of far more somber pits, the final resting places not of clay soldiers, but of real people. These are the tombs of concubines, high-ranking officials, and the very artisans who designed and built the entire complex. Historical records and skeletal evidence tell a grim story. After the first emperor was sealed within his mercury-laden palace, many of those closest to him were sacrificed, compelled to join him in the afterlife to ensure his eternal service and comfort. The discovery of mass burial sites, some containing hundreds of skeletons, points to an even more chilling practice: the systematic execution of the laborers and craftsmen who knew the tomb's secrets. Their silence was the final, permanent security measure. This stark contrast is profound. On one side, an army of thousands of meticulously crafted clay figures, a testament to immense artistic achievement, and on the other, the anonymous bones of the living, a testament to absolute power and the brutal cost of one man's quest for immortality. These lesser-known tombs force us to confront the complete picture of the Qin dynasty, a society capable of breathtaking artistry, yet governed by a philosophy that viewed human life as expendable in service to the emperor, both in this world and the next. How many more of these silent, tragic pits still lie hidden in the Chinese soil, and what forgotten stories of sacrifice do they hold? The human price of eternal glory becomes a recurring, haunting theme, as we find in tombs constructed not just for burial, but for a far more mysterious and celestial purpose. A world away from the mercury-soaked vaults of China, a solitary stone house stands against the sky on the vast Iranian plateau. This is the tomb of Cyrus the Great, the founder of the vast Persian Empire, and its design could not be more different. Where the first emperor built a hidden underground kingdom, Cyrus chose a modest, gabled chamber of pale limestone, resting atop a simple six-tiered platform. It is a monument of breathtaking humility from one of history's most powerful rulers. Classical sources tell us that inside this quiet chamber lay a golden sarcophagus, a simple bed, and a table set with precious vessels, yet the structure itself makes no attempt to intimidate or conceal. It was built to be seen and remembered, not sealed away for eternity. This accessibility was a direct reflection of Cyrus's revolutionary philosophy of governance. He was a conqueror, yes, but he was also a liberator, famous for his decree allowing exiled peoples like the Jews in Babylon to return to their homelands and practice their own faiths. His tomb, open and unfortified, symbolized a king who saw himself not as a distant god, but as a ruler for all his diverse subjects. This profound respect may well be the very reason his tomb survived when so many others were looted and destroyed. Centuries after his death, when Alexander the Great burned the opulent palace at Persepolis, he paid his respects at the tomb of Cyrus, ordering it to be protected and restored. Even a ruthless conqueror recognized the unique legacy encapsulated in that simple stone. The minimalist design continues to spark debate among scholars. Does its stark form, focusing on the sky and the elements, reflect the Zoroastrian traditions of its time, a faith that venerated the purity of nature? Or was it a deliberate architectural statement, the seed from which the magnificent columns and reliefs of later Persian palaces would grow? What message was Cyrus sending to the future? Perhaps it was this, that true, enduring power does not need to shout. It can be found in restraint, in tolerance, and in a legacy so secure it requires no hidden traps or rivers of poison to protect it. This idea of a tomb as a statement, rather than just a sealed container, leads us to another structure that challenges all our expectations, one that was never meant to hold a body at all. Beneath a great earthen mound in northern Greece, a tomb lay perfectly sealed for over 2,000 years. In 1977, archaeologist Manolis Andronikos broke through its marble doors and stepped into a time capsule from the age of Alexander the Great. The air was still, the darkness absolute, and the treasures within were breathtaking. This was the royal tomb at Vergina, and it was completely undisturbed by looters. Inside, a small golden casket known as a larnax held the cremated bones of a warrior king, believed by many to be none other than Philip II of Macedon, the brilliant and ruthless father of Alexander. The discovery was monumental, for it offered not just gold but truth, a direct line to a dynasty that reshaped the ancient world. The artifact spoke of immense power and refined taste. A stunning golden oak wreath, its leaves and acorns meticulously detailed, lay within the larnax, a symbol of royal authority placed with the king for eternity. Exquisite ivory portraits depicted Philip, his wife, and his son Alexander himself, their faces carved with an intimacy that makes these legendary figures feel startlingly real. This was not the haul from a barbaric outpost, but the curated wealth of a sophisticated court. The tomb's vibrant wall paintings depicting a royal hunt and the king's own ceremonial armor and silver vessels shattered the old perception of Macedonia as a mere cultural backwater. They revealed a society that was wealthy, artistically advanced, and fully engaged with the broader Greek world. This single underground chamber forced historians to rewrite their books, proving that the engine of Alexander's future empire was here, in this first capital of Aegae, all along. How did this priceless repository of history evade discovery for so many centuries? Its survival was a gift of geography and obscurity, hidden beneath a nondescript tumulus that guarded its secrets until one man's persistence revealed them. The tomb of Vergina gives us not just a king, but the origin story of a conqueror. From this confirmation of a royal father, we move to a monument built for a figure who may never have been buried there at all, a hero whose legend was powerful enough to inspire a wonder of the world. Yet the most powerful tombs are often those that hold no king at all. In the heart of great cities, beneath simple white marble slabs, lie the remains of soldiers whose names are lost to history. These are the tombs of the unknown, monuments not to a single ruler, but to the countless individuals swallowed by the chaos of war. The concept is profoundly modern, yet it echoes the most ancient of human impulses to honor those who fell in battle. At the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, a vault holds the body of a single French soldier from the First World War, chosen from among the hundreds of thousands of unidentified dead. In Arlington National Cemetery in the United States, the tomb of the unknown soldier from that same conflict is guarded 24 hours a day, every day of the year, in all weather. The rituals surrounding these sites are not static, they are living traditions. The precise, measured steps of the sentinels, the flicker of the eternal flames, the solemn ceremonies on national days of remembrance, all serve to connect the anonymous sacrifice of the past with the values of the present. What does it mean for a nation to dedicate its highest honors to someone whose name, hometown, and story are a complete mystery? It is a collective act of mourning and gratitude, a way for a society to say that every single life lost mattered, even when the individual is forever gone. This transforms a tomb from a private resting place into a public symbol of shared identity and collective memory. It forces us to reflect on the true cost of conflict, measured not in abstract numbers, but in the profound, anonymous silence of a single, representative soul. How does honoring the unknown shape a nation's understanding of itself, its history, and its debts? This powerful idea of a symbolic tomb, a structure built for remembrance rather than interment, pushes us to look for other monuments that defy the very definition of a grave. The name Mausolus should have faded into obscurity, remembered only by scholars of ancient Anatolia. Instead, it echoes through the centuries, immortalized by the breathtaking tomb he built for himself. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was not for a pharaoh or an emperor, but for a regional Persian governor and his wife, Artemisia. Yet its grandeur was so overwhelming that it earned a place among the 7 wonders of the ancient world and gave its name, mausoleum, to all monumental tombs that followed. Imagine a towering structure, a layered cake of architectural genius. It rose from a massive rectangular base, upon which stood a colonnade of 36 slender columns, crowned by a stepped pyramid roof. At its very peak, high above the city, stood a colossal marble statue of Mausolus and Artemisia riding in a chariot. This was not a single style but a fusion, blending the graceful proportions of Greek temples with the solidity of Egyptian pyramids and the ornate reliefs of Lycian tombs. It was a physical declaration of a hybrid culture, a statement that the ruler of Caria was a man of the world. The sculptural friezes that wrapped the building were a gallery in themselves, depicting epic battles between Greeks and Amazons and chariot races of breathtaking dynamism, all carved with a vitality that made the stone seem alive. The fame of these sculptures was so immense that they became the standard for classical art. Centuries after the mausoleum itself had crumbled, fragments of these very friezes were carefully excavated and shipped to the British Museum, where they remain today. The original site in modern Bodrum offers a more haunting experience, where you can walk among the massive foundations and scattered marble blocks, feeling the ghost of the structure's immense scale. But why would a regional ruler commit to such a lavish, unprecedented project? This was more than a tomb, it was a dynastic monument designed to cement the power and legacy of the Hecatomnid line in the minds of all who saw it. In a world of shifting allegiances, Mausolus used architecture as permanent propaganda. His lasting influence is undeniable, inspiring the monumental tomb architecture of Rome and later the grand mausoleums of the Renaissance. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus proves that a tomb can transcend its primary function to become a cultural catalyst. This blurring of line between tomb and legend finds its ultimate expression in a site where history and myth are inseparably intertwined. The line between a historical grave and a powerful legend blurs completely at Glastonbury Abbey. In the year 1191, monks at the English abbey made an astonishing announcement. They had unearthed the remains of the legendary King Arthur and his queen Guinevere. The story goes that they found a massive hollowed-out oak log serving as a coffin, and inside, the bones of a tall man and a woman. Crucially, they also discovered a lead cross bearing a Latin inscription. It was said to read, "Here lies buried the renowned King Arthur in the Isle of Avalon." The timing was deeply suspicious. The abbey had recently suffered a devastating fire and was in desperate need of funds and pilgrims. The discovery of Britain's greatest mythical hero right on their grounds was a financial and political miracle. It transformed Glastonbury into a national shrine, directly linking the site to the epic tales of Camelot. This was not just a tomb, it was a carefully crafted symbol of British identity, a physical anchor for a story that defined a nation. The location itself was already steeped in mystery, deeply connected to ancient Celtic traditions and later Christian lore that identified it as the mythical Isle of Avalon, the final resting place of Arthur, and even the hiding place of the Holy Grail. The monks' discovery layered history onto this myth, creating a potent blend of faith, folklore, and national pride that captivated the public imagination for centuries. When archaeologists examined the site in the 20th century, they did find evidence of an ancient Christian cemetery, proving the area was a significant early burial ground. Yet the lead cross has been lost, and the original monks' records are the only proof of the inscription. Was it a pious fraud, a genuine belief, or something in between? The enduring power of Arthur's supposed tomb answers a profound human need. It gives a geographical heart to our most cherished stories, a place where we can stand and feel connected to a heroic past, whether it is historically true or not. We yearn for these heroic burial sites because they make the epic tangible. This journey from the mists of Avalon leads us to a tomb born from a very different kind of story, one of terror, tragedy, and a restless spirit that refused to be forgotten. Descending into an underground labyrinth along Rome's ancient Appian Way, you find a monument not to a single emperor, but to an entire dynasty of power. This is the tomb of the Scipios, the final resting place for one of Rome's most illustrious families, the very architects of its early expansion. Here, in the cool, dark chambers, lay Scipio Africanus, the brilliant general who finally defeated the legendary Carthaginian commander Hannibal, saving Rome from certain destruction. His presence alone would make this tomb significant, but the crypt holds far more. It is a stone library of one family's relentless grip on power across centuries. The inscriptions carved into the sarcophagi and walls form a meticulous genealogical record, a public declaration of status and lineage meant to reinforce their political dominance for all eternity. This was how the elite of the Roman Republic asserted their identity, through the bones of their ancestors gathered in one place. But the tomb itself tells another, quieter story of societal change. Archaeologists have noted a clear shift within the chambers, from early inhumation burials where bodies were laid to rest intact, to later niches for cremation urns containing ashes. This transition mirrors a profound evolution in Roman religious beliefs and cultural practices, offering a physical timeline of how an entire civilization altered its relationship with death and the afterlife. The tomb's own history is a lesson in impermanence. Despite its prominence, it was eventually repurposed, its entrance buried and its legendary occupants forgotten, only to be rediscovered and looted in the 18th century. How could the memory of such a foundational family simply vanish from the city they helped build? The rise and fall of the Scipionic tomb reflects the larger narrative of Rome itself, the slow erosion of old aristocratic families and their private power, giving way to the centralized authority of the emperors. The Republic died, and with it, the need for such family monuments faded. This ancient focus on lineage and legacy, however, finds a bizarre parallel thousands of years later, not in a tomb for humans, but in monuments built for the creatures that served them. The logic of this ancient world demanded that a king never travels alone. Deep within the royal cemetery of in Mesopotamia, archaeologists uncovered a different vision of the afterlife, one where the royal court was meant to continue its functions for eternity. The tomb of Queen Puabi, for instance, was a staggering display of wealth and ritual, containing not just golden headdresses and the famous standard of but also the bodies of her attendants, soldiers, and musicians. These individuals were not victims of violence, but appear to have taken poison in a solemn, collective ceremony, choosing to follow their mistress into the next world. This was the Great Death Pit, a mass grave holding dozens of souls who voluntarily laid themselves down in neat rows, adorned in their finest regalia, ready to serve. To our modern minds, this is a horrifying concept, yet for the Sumerians, it reflected a profound belief that death was a mere transition, a journey to a shadowy underworld where a ruler would still need a loyal retinue. But the most telling companions were not the people. The tombs also held chariots, their wooden frames long decayed, but the skeletons of the draft oxen and the horses that pulled them still intact, positioned as if ready to charge. These animals were not mere sacrifices, they were essential provisions for the afterlife. In a culture where warfare and ceremonial processions defined power, a king without his chariot team was incomplete, a ruler stripped of his authority and mobility in the world to come. The inclusion of these creatures speaks volumes about their perceived status. They were not property, but partners in the king's eternal reign. Why were animals granted this sacred role? In Sumerian belief, the afterlife was a direct reflection of the earthly one, requiring the same tools, the same hierarchy, and the same symbols of power to function. The tomb complex at shatters our simple definitions of burial, revealing a society that saw the grave not as an end, but as a departure point for a continued existence. This concept of essential companions, however, reaches its most enigmatic form not with animals, but with a tomb that seems to have been built for a celestial event, aligning the dead with the very cycles of the universe. 5,000 years ago, as civilizations were first taking root along the Nile and the Euphrates, a community in Ireland raised a monument of staggering ambition. Newgrange is a massive, circular mound of earth and stone, older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Giza. To stand before its white quartz facade and its encircling curbstones is to confront a mystery carved in rock. The true genius of this Neolithic tomb lies in its alignment, a feat of celestial architecture. Above the entrance, a small, carefully positioned opening known as a roof box was engineered for a single, spectacular purpose. For a few precious minutes at dawn on the winter solstice, as the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky, a narrow beam of light pierces through this opening. It travels down the long, narrow passage, and for a brief, brilliant moment, it floods the inner chamber with golden light, illuminating the darkness that has persisted for a full year. This was no accident. The builders possessed a profound understanding of the solar cycle and knowledge that allowed them to capture the sun itself and bring it into a house of the dead. The engineering is equally masterful. The chamber boasts a corbelled roof, a dome of overlapping stones that has remained completely watertight for over 5 millennia, a testament to skills we struggle to comprehend. Intricate spiral carvings, triple circles, and diamond shapes are chiseled into the stones, a cryptic language of symbols whose meaning is lost to time. While the cremated remains of individuals have been found inside, the scale and grandeur of Newgrange suggest it was far more than a simple grave. Was it a temple for a sun cult, a place where a priestly class demonstrated its power by summoning the returning light? Was it an astronomical observatory, a giant calendar marking the rebirth of the year for an entire farming society? Or was it a sacred space where the boundaries between the living, the dead, and the cosmic forces blurred into one? The recent discovery of even more hidden chambers and previously unseen carvings using modern technology hints that we have only begun to decipher its secrets. What drove these ancient people to orchestrate such a perfect marriage of earth and sky? What ceremonies, what chants, what hopes filled that stone chamber as the sun's ray pierced the winter gloom? From this triumphant capture of light, we are drawn to a tomb preserved in a different kind of darkness, one frozen in time by the shadow of a volcano. High on Cairo Mountain in China's Shaanxi province stands a tomb that holds no body, yet contains the soul of a civilization. This is the final resting place, it is said, of the Yellow Emperor Huangdi, a figure so deeply woven into the fabric of Chinese legend that he transcends history. He is the mythical progenitor credited with inventing writing, silk, medicine, and the very principles of Chinese statecraft. His tomb is not an archaeological site in the traditional sense, but a powerful engine of cultural memory. For over 2,000 years, emperors from various dynasties made pilgrimages here to conduct elaborate sacrificial ceremonies. They were not merely paying respects to an ancestor, they were performing a vital political act. By publicly linking their reign to this foundational hero, they legitimized their power, casting themselves as the rightful heirs to a glorious and unbroken lineage. The tomb complex itself is a physical record of this continuous veneration. Ancient cypress trees, said to be planted by the emperor himself, shade halls and monuments that have been rebuilt, renovated, and expanded by successive rulers. Each dynasty left its own architectural mark, layering its own chapter onto this sacred narrative. In the modern era, the tradition continues with profound significance. The Chinese government sponsors official ceremonies at the tomb, using it as a stage to promote national unity and ethnic Han identity. It is a potent symbol of 5,000 years of continuous culture, a direct link to a primordial past that reinforces a powerful contemporary narrative. Where do we draw the line between a historical person and a cultural symbol? The tomb of the Yellow Emperor demonstrates that a site's greatest power may not lie in the bones it contains, but in the ideas it inspires. It is a monument to the very concept of origin, proving that a tomb can build a nation just as surely as it can bury a king. This masterful blending of myth and political purpose finds a startlingly literal counterpart in a tomb that is entirely, verifiably real, yet was designed to be completely invisible. While the Scipios built for their family, Rome's first emperor built for an empire. On the banks of the Tiber, Augustus constructed a mausoleum so grand it was meant to secure his dynasty for 1,000 years. This colossal circular tomb, faced in brilliant white marble and gleaming bronze, rose like a man-made hill in the heart of the city. At its peak stood a towering bronze statue of Augustus himself, gazing out over his Rome. The design was a deliberate echo of the mausoleum at Halicarnassus, one of the ancient wonders, a clear statement that the new Roman emperor saw himself as the heir to legendary kings. Inside its concentric walls lay not just his own ashes, but those of his intended heirs, from his beloved nephew Marcellus to his disillusioned daughter Julia. It was a stone family tree, a physical manifestation of the Julio-Claudian line, designed to project an image of unshakable, eternal power. But eternity had other plans. As the Roman Empire crumbled, so did the tomb's sacred purpose. Its bronze and marble were stripped away for other buildings. It was transformed into a fortress by a medieval warlord, then a Renaissance garden for a powerful family, and even, bizarrely, a bullfighting ring and a concert hall in the 19th century. The monument to ultimate power became a pawn of changing times, its dignity stripped away by centuries of pragmatic reuse. Yet, in a remarkable turn, recent and meticulous restoration has peeled back these layers, reopening the site to the public. You can now walk the same grassy central chamber where the ashes of emperors once rested, a profoundly moving experience that connects you directly to the fragility of legacy. What does this cycle of grandeur, plunder, and revival tell us? It reveals that no power, no matter how absolute, can control how it will be remembered. The stones of Augustus were repurposed by every succeeding age, a stark lesson in the transient nature of human glory. This very design, however, did not die with Augustus. His circular, monumental style was directly copied by the Emperor Hadrian for his own tomb across the river, a structure that would follow an even more dramatic transformation, from Imperial Mausoleum to the impregnable fortress known as Castel Sant'Angelo. Across the Tiber River, another circular tomb was rising, built for an emperor who saw himself as a philosopher and an architect. Hadrian's mausoleum was a direct echo of Augustus' design, a colossal cylinder of white marble and bronze statues, intended to hold the ashes of the emperor and his family for eternity. But the story of this tomb did not end with the fall of Rome. It was only the beginning. Its sturdy, defensible form and its location just outside the city walls made it a prize for every new era. As Rome descended into chaos, the Pope saw its potential, transforming the imperial resting place into a fortress, Castel Sant'Angelo. They stripped its marble skin for churches and palaces, capped it with a papal apartment, and encircled it with formidable battlements. The ancient tomb became the Vatican's strongest bulwark, a last refuge in times of peril, connected to the Apostolic Palace by the secret, elevated passageway known as the Passetto di Borgo. Popes literally fled across this corridor to safety while their guards held the walls below. This was a complete inversion of its original purpose, a place built for eternal peace, now dedicated to temporal survival and war. Its history only grew darker as its lower levels became one of the most feared prisons in Renaissance Italy, holding figures like the astronomer Giordano Bruno. Yet even here, beauty persisted, with lavish papal apartments decorated by Renaissance masters built directly atop the grim dungeons. The castle's very name comes from a legend, from a vision of the Archangel Michael sheathing his sword atop the fortress, signaling the end of a terrible plague, a moment forever commemorated by the bronze statue that crowns the structure. So, what is Castel Sant'Angelo now? It is all these things at once, a museum where you can walk from the original Roman ramps, past prison cells etched with the despair of inmates, into sunlit rooms of breathtaking frescoes. It is a physical timeline, a stone chronicle of power, faith, fear, and art across nearly 2,000 years. Can a tomb ever truly cease to be a tomb when its original occupant is forgotten, but its form continues to shape history? This chameleon-like ability to adapt is a signature of the most enduring monuments, a quality shared by a tomb that was never meant to be found, yet was designed to guard a secret of cosmic proportions. Two immense pyramids rise from the Mexican highlands, the sun and the moon, silent sentinels of a city that forgot its own name. Teotihuacan was already a magnificent ruin when the Aztecs discovered it, and they gave it the name we use today, the place where gods were born. The Pyramid of the Sun is a colossal mountain of earth and stone, one of the largest structures of the ancient world, while the Pyramid of the Moon perfectly anchors the northern end of the city's great central artery, the Avenue of the Dead. Their alignment is precise, mirroring the sacred landscape and the cycles of the cosmos, but their inner secrets have been far harder to uncover. For a long time, archaeologists searched in vain for the tombs of the city's rulers, expecting to find royal chambers filled with treasures akin to an Egyptian pharaoh. That discovery never came. Instead, deep within the Pyramid of the Moon, excavators found something perhaps even more revealing, a series of terrifying ritual offerings sealed within its construction phases. They uncovered the remains of sacrificed humans, their hands bound behind their backs, alongside the skeletons of predatory animals like jaguars and wolves, and even majestic birds of prey. These were not casual acts of violence, but deeply symbolic deposits. Alongside them were exquisite offerings of obsidian blades and shimmering greenstone figurines, materials that represented wealth, power, and life itself. This was not a tomb for a single king, but a sacred engine for the entire community, a place where life was given to ensure the cosmos remained in balance and fertility would bless the land. The pyramids themselves were the true monuments, acting as symbolic portals between the human world and the realm of the divine. The absence of a definitive royal burial chamber forces us to ask a radical question. Did Teotihuacan even have kings in the way we understand them? Perhaps power here was held by a council of elders, or by rulers so entwined with the divine that their physical remains were considered unimportant compared to the eternal structures they built. The city's breathtaking murals, which cover the walls of its affluent apartment compounds, depict not individual rulers but gods, priests, and abstract spiritual concepts. This was a society that valued the collective over the individual, the cosmic order over personal glory. So what do these silent pyramids ultimately tell us? They speak a language of geometry and sacrifice, of a people who invested their entire identity into aligning their world with the heavens. The tomb of the sun and moon, then, might be the tomb of an idea, the burial place of a unique social experiment that flourished and then vanished, leaving behind only the stones to whisper its story. This leads us to consider another tomb that is not a building at all, but an entire landscape sculpted by a forgotten hand. A tomb does not always need a body to hold a spirit. Across China, entire mountain ranges were sculpted into vast necropolises, not merely as places of burial, but as powerful engines of geomantic energy. This is the world of Feng Shui, an ancient practice where the earth itself is seen as a living body, crisscrossed with dragon veins, powerful currents of vital force. The goal was to locate the perfect resting place, a spot where these energies converged, to ensure the dynasty's prosperity would flow unbroken for generations. The Ming and Qing emperors employed master geomancers who would spend years surveying the land, seeking a site cradled by protective mountains, embraced by winding rivers, and facing the auspicious south. The tombs were then meticulously integrated into this sacred geography. The Ming tombs north of Beijing are a masterclass in this philosophy, a valley chosen specifically for its ring of guardian hills and its life-giving water source. The spirit road leading to the tombs is not a straight, imposing path, but a gentle, winding procession through a natural landscape, allowing the beneficial energies to gather and flow. Every element, from the orientation of the burial mound to the placement of guardian statues, was calculated to maintain harmony between the deceased emperor, his descendants, and the cosmos itself. This was not mere superstition. It was a sophisticated system of environmental psychology and aesthetics, an understanding that a person's connection to the world does not end at death, but is merely transformed. How does this concept of a tomb as an energy focal point compare to Western traditions? In the West, a tomb is often a sealed, private space, a monument to an individual's life and a place for quiet remembrance. Here, the tomb is an active, public interface with the forces of nature, designed to manipulate fate on a grand, dynastic scale. It is a belief that the fortune of the living is directly tied to the placement of their ancestors, a profound and holistic vision of existence that finds its most dramatic, and perhaps its most literal, expression not in a landscaped valley, but in a tomb carved directly into a sheer cliff face. Looters had already tunneled deep into the ancient mud brick pyramid in the arid valleys of northern Peru, their shovels scraping against history. But in 1987, archaeologist Walter Alva was called to the scene, and what he found was not an empty chamber, but a wooden sarcophagus completely untouched by the thieves. Inside lay the man who would become known as the Lord of Sipán, a Moch ruler who had been sealed in his tomb for over 1,700 years. He was not alone in death. Buried with him were 3 young women, a warrior, a military commander, a child, a dog, and 2 llamas, a complete retinue chosen to serve him in the afterlife. The richness of the burial was staggering, a symphony in gold, silver, and copper that spoke of a society with sophisticated metallurgy and a rigid hierarchy. This was not a hidden hoard of treasure, but a ruler's functional wardrobe for eternity. He wore a necklace of golden spider pendants, their bodies formed from precious pearls, and another with alternating beads of solid gold and solid silver peanuts, symbols of agricultural abundance. His face was covered by massive, intricate nose ornaments depicting a human figure with a feline's fanged face, a clear symbol of his divine warrior priest status. His headdress was a crescent of gold, and his hands held ritual rattles made of gold and silver, meant to be shaken during ceremonies. Every object had a purpose, telling a story of a man who was both a military leader and a spiritual intermediary. The Moch did not see death as an end, but as a transition to a parallel existence where the same social order prevailed. The Lord of Sipán needed his companions, his symbols of office, and his ritual tools to properly rule in the next world. The sheer completeness of this find, from the grandest headdress to the positioning of the sacrificed llamas, provided a frozen moment in time, a window into a civilization that left no written records. Its artifacts became their own library. What does this tell us about the Moch? It reveals a culture of astonishing artistic and technical skill, with a world view so concrete that they equipped their dead for a journey that mirrored their earthly life. The discovery was so significant it led to the construction of the Royal Tombs of Sipán Museum, a modern fortress built specifically to house these national treasures and protect them from the very looters who nearly stole this story forever. The Lord of Sipán's tomb is a testament to what is lost when history is plundered for gold, and what is gained when it is preserved for understanding. From this profound expression of a ruler's eternal duties, we are drawn to a monument built not for power, but for a single, heartbreaking emotion. The pure white dome seems to float above the riverbank, a vision of perfect symmetry and serene beauty. This is the Taj Mahal, a tomb born not from a quest for power, but from an emperor's profound grief. Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan built this ivory marble mausoleum as an eternal resting place for his favorite wife, Mumtaz Mahal, who died giving birth to their 14th child. It stands today as one of the most recognized buildings in the world, a global symbol of love that transcends cultures and centuries. But to see it as merely a beautiful building is to miss its deeper purpose. The entire complex, with its meticulously planned gardens, reflecting pools, accompanying mosque and guest houses, is a physical representation of paradise on earth as described in the Quran. The 4 minarets flanking the main structure do more than frame the view. They were designed to fall away from the central tomb in the event of an earthquake, protecting the sanctum at their heart. This architectural foresight mirrors the spiritual intent. Every element serves a higher purpose. The tombs of Mumtaz and later Shah Jahan himself lie in a quiet crypt directly below the main chamber. The upper hall contains their cenotaphs, false tombs surrounded by an exquisite marble screen, a masterpiece of piercework so fine it appears delicate as lace. These monuments are adorned with pietra dura, an intricate inlay of semi-precious stones like lapis lazuli, carnelian, and jade, forming swirling floral patterns and sacred calligraphy. This craftsmanship represents the absolute pinnacle of Mughal artistry, a display of wealth and skill meant to honor a love that defined an empire. The construction of this paradise was a colossal undertaking. 20,000 artisans, stonemasons, and calligraphers were recruited from across India, Persia, and the Ottoman Empire. Materials were sourced from all over Asia, with white marble brought from Rajasthan, jasper from Punjab, turquoise from Tibet, and sapphires from Sri Lanka. The Taj Mahal is as much a testament to 17th century global trade and cultural exchange as it is to personal devotion. Yet this universal icon now faces very modern threats. Air pollution from nearby industries yellows its brilliant marble facade, while the relentless pressure of millions of tourists each year tests the very foundations of its serenity. How does a personal tomb become a universal icon? It speaks to an emotion so fundamental that it resonates with everyone who sees it, transforming a single man's heartbreak into a shared human experience. This monumental expression of love in the face of death finds a haunting parallel in tombs built not for one person, but for thousands, born from tragedy on an unimaginable scale. In the heart of Warsaw, a different kind of tomb holds the memory of a nation forged in resistance. The tomb of the unknown soldier in Powązki Cemetery does not commemorate a single battle, but a century-spanning struggle for existence itself. Here, the unidentified remains of soldiers and civilians represent the countless Poles who fought and fell during the partitions, the wars, and the numerous uprisings where the very idea of Poland was nearly extinguished. The tomb is a stark, solemn pavilion, its design severe and dignified, centered around an eternal flame that flickers day and night. This flame is not just a symbol of remembrance, it is a national heartbeat, a visible promise that the sacrifice of the nameless will never be forgotten. This site exists within a larger landscape of memory, as Powązki Cemetery itself is a national pantheon, holding the graves of celebrated artists, pioneering scientists, and pivotal political leaders. The proximity of these named heroes to the anonymous dead creates a powerful dialogue, a complete picture of a nation's soul, where individual genius and collective, anonymous sacrifice are honored as equally vital to survival. Public ceremonies held here on national days of remembrance are not mere formalities. They are active reinforcements of historical consciousness, a way for each new generation to physically connect with the steep cost of their freedom. In a country that has spent much of its history under foreign domination, such tombs become classrooms of stone and soil. They are places where the past is not a distant chapter in a book, but a living, felt presence. How do tombs for the unknown help shape a nation's narrative in the face of adversity? They transform abstract loss into a sacred, shared focal point, allowing a people to collectively mourn, to honor resilience, and to teach the value of sovereignty bought with anonymous blood. This profound act of collective mourning for people finds a startling parallel in tombs constructed not for humans, but for the most powerful and dangerous ideas ever conceived. Deep within Westminster Abbey, where the bones of kings and queens rest in ornate tombs, you will find a monument to a different kind of power. This is the Cenotaph of Sir Isaac Newton, a grand and theatrical marble memorial that holds everything but his body. He is actually buried nearby under a simpler stone, yet it is this symbolic tomb that captures the imagination. Here, Newton reclines gracefully, resting one elbow on a stack of his own books. He is not depicted as a saint or a soldier, but as a thinker in repose. His finger points toward a scroll held by two cherubs, detailing his mathematical and scientific work, while at his feet lies the central emblem of his genius, a prism breaking a beam of light into the colors of the spectrum. Behind him, a celestial globe charts the orbits of planets, a silent tribute to his laws of motion and universal gravitation. The entire sculpture, designed by William Kent, is a manifesto in stone, a declaration from the Age of Enlightenment that the greatest hero is not the one who conquers lands, but the one who conquers ignorance. Why would a society go to such lengths to build a tomb that holds no body? The answer lies in the very nature of legacy. A physical grave marks the end of a life, but a cenotaph celebrates the immortality of an idea. It is a public declaration of values, stating that the discoveries which reshape our understanding of the universe are as worthy of monumental honor as the lineage of any monarch. Westminster Abbey itself was transformed by this practice. This ancient church, once the exclusive resting place of royalty and religious figures, gradually became a pantheon for the secular saints of progress. Just a few steps from Newton, you can find the memorial to Charles Darwin, another thinker whose ideas fundamentally altered humanity's place in the cosmos. These cenotaphs collectively rebrand the sacred space, turning it from a testament to divine right into a museum of human achievement. They ask us a profound question: what do we as a society hold most sacred? Is it bloodline and battle, or is it the relentless, brilliant pursuit of truth? By honoring Newton with a tomb more grand than that of many kings, 18th century Britain was making its answer clear. This celebration of pure intellect, of mind over matter, represents a pivotal shift in what we bury and what we build up. Yet for every culture that raises monuments to its thinkers, there are others whose entire world was buried, their stories waiting to be unearthed from tombs that are not made of marble, but of mud, ash, and tragic silence. A stone doorway leads underground into a world of color and texture, where the walls themselves are alive with the stuff of daily existence. This is the tomb of the reliefs in the Banditaxia necropolis, an Etruscan burial chamber from the 4th century before the Common Era that feels less like a crypt and more like a bustling home. Stucco sculptures molded directly onto the rock depict a complete inventory of a wealthy family's life. Swords and shields hang beside kitchen pots and ladles, coils of rope lie next to axes, and even a faithful dog is rendered in high relief, forever guarding the entrance. Every object, from the mundane to the martial, was considered essential for the journey ahead. The Etruscans did not see the afterlife as a shadowy, grim underworld, but as a vibrant continuation of earthly pleasures and social standing. To walk through this necropolis is to stroll through a city of the dead, with regular streets lined with tumulus mounds and house-like tombs, each one a faithful recreation of an Etruscan dwelling. This architectural mirroring reveals a profound belief that death was a mere change of address, not an end. The family's social life would continue, complete with banquets, music, and the company of ancestors. This cheerful, almost celebratory approach to mortality deeply influenced their Roman neighbors, who would later adopt and adapt Etruscan funerary customs into their own practices. But these tombs offer more than just a philosophy. They are a linguistic and historical goldmine. The discovery of sarcophagi with lifelike figures of husbands and wives reclining together as if at a feast, along with vibrant frescoes and inscriptions naming the deceased, provided the crucial, repetitive texts needed to start deciphering the enigmatic Etruscan language. This was a culture that prized family, artistry, and the tangible joys of life, and they built their tombs accordingly, ensuring their legacy was written not in grand boasts of conquest, but in the intimate, beautiful details of the everyday. What can this joyful acceptance of death teach us? Perhaps that a life well lived is the best preparation for whatever comes next. This fascination with a culture's final instructions brings us to our last monumental tomb, a structure that defies simple explanation and continues to challenge everything we think we know. Rosslyn Chapel's stone surfaces bloom with a silent forest of carved leaves, vines, and flowers, and at their heart, peering from the pillars, is the Green Man, an ancient pagan symbol of rebirth and the cycles of nature. This is the final stop on our journey, a place that challenges the very definition of a tomb. While no grand sarcophagus sits at its center, the entire structure is a sepulchre for ideas, a stone library of hidden knowledge built by the St. Clare family in the 15th century. The chapel is a tapestry woven from contradictory threads, where Christian saints stand beside pagan deities. Biblical scenes merge with carvings of maize and aloe plants unknown in Scotland at the time, and intricate patterns whisper of geometry known to the stonemason guilds and later Freemasonry. This is not a conventional burial site, but it was intended as a collegiate church and a spiritual mausoleum for a family that may have sought to preserve wisdom they feared was being lost. The legends are as thick as the carved stone, suggesting hidden crypts beneath the floor concealing everything from Templar treasures and the Holy Grail to the lost scrolls of the Jerusalem Temple. Modern technology has been brought to bear on these mysteries, with ground-penetrating radar and laser scans searching for the truth. So far, no vast hidden chambers have been confirmed, yet the sense of a secret waiting to be uncovered only grows stronger. Why does this small Scottish chapel hold such a powerful grip on our imagination? It is because Rosslyn represents the ultimate human mystery, the desire to encode a message so that it can survive the ravages of time, politics, and religious upheaval. The builders may have known that their true legacy was not in gold or in a single body, but in the symbols they left behind, a complex puzzle meant for a future generation that would finally understand its language. Our journey through these 21 monumental tombs ends not with a body, but with a question carved in stone. What is the most important lesson these ancient sites leave for us? It is that the greatest treasures are not the jewels or the gold, but the stories, the knowledge, and the profound, enduring human need to be remembered. A simple pile of stones marks the earliest attempt to answer our greatest mystery. The dolmen, a massive capstone balanced on upright rocks, was more than a grave. It was a permanent marker in the landscape, a communal project that said someone important was here. This humble beginning evolved into the passage grave like Newgrange, where entire communities channeled their understanding of the cosmos into structures that captured the sun. These were tombs for the collective, their design woven from beliefs about the seasons, the stars, and the soul's journey. But as power concentrated in the hands of individuals, so did the scale of their final resting places. The pharaohs of Egypt shifted the focus entirely, building mountains of stone aimed at a single goal, ensuring one man's divine resurrection. Their pyramids were machines for the afterlife, filled with spells, goods, and intricate false passages designed to confuse thieves and protect the king's eternal voyage. In China, the first emperor took this concept of protection to its logical extreme, surrounding himself with an entire terracotta administration and reportedly lining his tomb with toxic mercury. The tomb was no longer just a vessel for the body, it was a fortified palace for a soul that refused to die. This obsession with individual legacy then collided with the classical world's love for art and politics. The mausoleum at Halicarnassus was not merely a container for a body, it was a breathtaking sculpture garden, a tourist attraction, and a permanent advertisement for a ruler's wealth and taste. Its form was so powerful it became the blueprint for Roman emperors, who built colossal circular tombs like that of Augustus, not in remote deserts, but in the heart of the city, ensuring their memory was part of daily life. With the rise of Christianity and Islam, the focus shifted inward again, from outward displays of power to the promise of paradise. The Taj Mahal is the ultimate expression of this, a tomb that is less a monument to death and more an architectural prayer, a recreation of heaven on earth dedicated to love and spiritual devotion. In the modern era, we see yet another transformation, as tombs become anchors for national identity. The tomb of the unknown soldier does not celebrate a single life, but the anonymous sacrifice of thousands, turning a grave into a classroom for patriotism and a site for collective mourning. So, how has our relationship with death shaped the buildings we leave behind? Each tomb is a fossilized imprint of a culture's deepest fears and highest aspirations. From the communal stone circle to the emperor's hidden fortress to the nation's sacred cenotaph, these structures tell a continuous story of humanity's struggle with mortality, power, and the desperate, beautiful hope to be remembered. They are not endpoints but conversations with the future. These 21 tombs are not endpoints but conversations carved in stone. They speak a language of ingenuity and belief, from the silent terracotta battalions in China to the sun's precise alignment at Newgrange. Each structure challenges us to look past the obvious, to read the deeper meanings encoded in earth and rock. They reveal that our ancestors were not so different from us. They loved profoundly, they grieved deeply, they sought a form of immortality, and they built monuments to express their highest aspirations and most profound fears. These places are repositories of the human spirit itself. Let them inspire you to explore the hidden histories in your own world. Perhaps you can even visit one, to stand in that space and feel a tangible connection to our shared past. If this journey through time has captivated you, subscribe for more explorations into history's greatest enigmas. We would love to hear which of these tombs captured your imagination most powerfully in the comments below. Remember, the greatest mysteries are not always hidden in deep vaults. They are often buried in plain sight, simply waiting for a curious mind to uncover them.